Heyo everybody, Haku here with my special double review of Tower of God chapters 291 and 292, or Season 2 episodes 211 and 212. And starting off, I'll just talk about chapter 291, and this one was mostly, like the majority of the chapter was about the Ron versus Inietta fight, and I was not expecting the fight to be as great as it was. It was probably one of the better fights in the entire series. Like, just the way it was drawn and everything. A lot of the art style in it, I mentioned in the live reaction, looked like there was a lot of it, like the panels where it was multiple shots of them moving around and stuff, that were things that SIU has done before, but there were some of the bigger, more like stretched out looking shots that in panels that were like different from the normal SIU art style. And I thought that was really interesting that he did use a couple of different sort of stylistic panels than what he normally does. But overall, I thought the art for it was beautiful. I thought their powers clashing together near the beginning when they first went in was really, really cool, really hype. And yeah, just overall it was really detailed, and the choreography was amazing. Like, this fight was so well written. Like, it was incredibly written for a manga, because I feel like normally you can't really, without wasting a lot of your page time, you can't really devote a lot to these detailed, like, really powerful action sequences. But I felt like we got a really good amount of the action sequences without having to sacrifice any content. So it was a really, really good fight. I really liked as well when all of Inietta's swords were coming at Ron from the different sides, and that's when we got flashbacks, and I wasn't expecting any character, like any special character development or flashbacks or anything like that for Ron. So it was a really cool surprise, and I really liked it, seeing him as a kid with Machete. And Machete also does mention something about him being young to be a regular, and wondering if it was Edouan and Head-On's doing. So it's really interesting to see Head-On brought up here, especially with, and we got to see Head-On later on in the next chapter, I think. But it was really interesting that we actually got to hear about Head-On and Edouan maybe planning something or doing something together. So it was kind of interesting, and shows again how special Ron is. But basically she tells him that when you fight with the REA, and again it's really interesting that she mentions the REA, it kind of shows like how the REA and Kun have that sort of rivalry type of relationship, trying to be the strongest of the 10 families, and how like REA Hone is the 5th strongest person in the tower and Edouan is like the 6th or something. So I think it's cool how they have that sort of rivalry where she would tell a young Kun family candidate, yo, you need to watch your back if you fight any Zahard princesses or REA family regulars. I thought that was really, really cool, but her advice to him was basically, don't try to dodge, because that's how people get killed. It's pretty much impossible to dodge a sword strike from the REA family, so basically you just gotta tank the hit and then hit them with a stronger hit of your own, like get a good counterattack in there by not wasting your time dodging. So that's exactly what he does, and he has this really awesome attack that leads to these really great panels of Ron and Inietta injured, and they're some of the best looking panels in the chapter to me, is when we see Inietta collapsed up against the wall injured, and when we see Ron stooped over with like his back and stomach bleeding. Like, those were really, really cool shots, and they were really high detail as well, which is always very nice. So we find out that Ron, we probably pretty much already assumed, but we got confirmation that Ron is from the Kun family's main branch, and it's sort of hinted at that Inietta is from the side branch of the REA family, or a side branch, and that's why he maybe possibly is in the name hunt station. But he hates things like the strict family system of main branches and side branches and people who aren't in special families and stuff like that. And in the blog, they talk, like SIU talked about it a little bit more, when he said the RA family is the strictest family when it comes to people in the side or main branches and the differences between them. Like the main branches all get special swords that the side branches don't. So I think that was interesting, showing sort of the difference between Joaquin and his siblings, and then Iniesta, who is very, very talented, but maybe wasn't given the same opportunities that Joaquin and his siblings were given. Now, Ron spills Iniesta's drink, which angers him, but he drinks the rest of it and throws it down, and he gets a speed boost from that, like we saw when he fought against Danois a few chapters back. So, interesting with the speed boost, he dodges Ron's attack and then goes for a powerful slash from behind and actually ignites Krishna after going for the slash from behind, which was just incredible. Like, after that, I actually thought for a moment, since we saw flashbacks for him and stuff, I was like, yo, could this be Ron's death? Is Ron dying right now? Because, like, with it coming from behind and igniting and everything, and having just seen the flashbacks, I really thought they were going to possibly kill off Ron. But of course, the attack gets blocked by Jaja's lighthouses, and then the face Iniesta makes when he, like, sees Dan and Jaja behind him was incredible. And we find out that Dan was actually able to run in there and get Jaja in there faster than Iniesta could even detect. So it's crazy that Dan is just that fast, even when carrying somebody. Like, I freaking love Dan so much. And Jaja, too. Like, just think about how incredible it is. A Krishna shot one-shotted Yiwa a few chapters back. And yet Jaja was able to block it. Like, it's crazy to me that she was actually able to block that. So, I don't know. It's just... I didn't quite think that this group was that strong compared to Danois, Yiwa, and Rak, but these three did what Danois, Yiwa, and Rak couldn't really do. Of course, when Danois, Yiwa, and Rak were doing it, they sort of were the ones being caught by surprise by all this new stuff, whereas, on the other hand, Iniesta is being more caught off guard by better planning, I guess, with Ron's group. But I don't know, it was just weird that those three were able to pull off so badassly what Ron, Yuan, and Danois couldn't pull off. So yeah, we are assuming that Iniesta was probably defeated, but just as Ron was going in for the finishing blow, we sort of cut away and go back to Bomb's group, and they have tiny compressed Yukon, which was hilarious, leading them to Alphine's chambers and trying to, like, coyly trick them, like, oh, you don't want to go in there, she'll kill you, trying to goad them into continuing on to try to make them go in there because he thinks that Alphine will legit kill them. So I guess it's kind of crazy that Yukon thinks that Alphine is more capable of taking them out than he was. So, I don't know, especially after he was just friggin' Goomba'd by them, like, he got destroyed. So I think it's interesting that Yukon had that sort of faith that Alphine could take out Kun and Bomb. And Red Greymon's there as well, of course. But when they enter, Alphine's just sitting there, chilling, waiting for him. And once she starts talking, like, I really like Alphine's personality. Once she starts talking, she's talkative. And I just thought it was hilarious the way she talked with Bob, and she laughed about how the long hair was a wig. So I'm actually really liking Alphine's personality here. So we see that Ryun is leading her group into the maze, and somebody asks, I think it was Novik, I said in the live reaction I thought it was Boro, but upon rereading a couple times I think it's actually Novik based on the shirt he's wearing. But they're like, yo, why are we going into the maze? And Ryun's just like, shut up and follow me. So I'm assuming she knows where she's going. I think that group, is Lulu the only boss we haven't run into yet? I have a feeling I'm forgetting one. Oh, Variel, Vani, and Lulu we haven't run into yet. I think that one of Ship's team might run into Variel Vani, if not Ship himself. So I actually think that we might get Lulu is the one that Ryun's group walks into, because Lulu was spying on them all those chapters ago and saying, you know, I don't know if we could take Sachi Faker with all his allies around. I don't even know if we could take him 1v1. So I do think that that's interesting, that they are probably, we're getting hints that we're going to see them do something soon, probably. We're probably going to get a little bit of focus on them since we have been focusing on the other groups that have gone in. But yeah, getting a little distracted by that. And we end the chapter by Alphine saying that if they have a way to free Kaiser from the binds that have held her here for 1,000 years, she'll take him to where Kaiser is. So that was a really cool, like, sort of mysterious thing to leave us on for this chapter. It didn't give anything away and set us up for next chapter, so it was really well written. And overall, this chapter was really well written. That was one of the best fights in the series. Not the best. I personally think that the Bomb versus Joaquin fight is still my favorite, but this was an incredibly well written and well choreographed fight. And then going on from that, I liked the Alphine stuff a lot. I liked seeing her personality more and getting sort of the real introduction of her as a character talking with Bomb and Kun as well. So yeah, I think I liked pretty much everything about this. I thought it was incredible. But after reading it a bunch of times, even though I think it's incredible and even though it's one of the hypest chapters I've read in a while, I think it may actually be a little bit unfair of me to give it a perfect score compared to some of the other things that were really, really great and I gave perfect scores to. So I'm just going to give it a really close to perfect score of 9.5 REA swords out of 10. But yeah, 9.5 out of 10. Really close to that. And other things I wanted to say about it, I guess, I probably already kind of said, but I thought that Jaja and Dan coming in was incredible because I expected somebody to come in and save Ron, but there was a small part of me that thought maybe Ron will actually die here. But them coming in the way that they did, like, it was a really good scene and it was really surprising. And I also liked that we actually got to see, on top of all of this, like, on top of all of this content, we also got the flashbacks with Ron and Machete, which I think added a ton to the chapter. Like, I really like that. And, yeah, I'm giving it a 9.5, but I could honestly give this a 10 out of 10. This was incredible. But moving on to 292 was something that, even though I thought 291 was incredible, I thought this was even better. I thought this was one of the most well-written single chapters story-wise. Like, this really told a story, and the way it was artistically made was just genius. I loved the shots and the paneling for 292. Like, it was really one of the better chapters. The only chapter in recent memory that I can think of that could stand up to it story-wise, 1v1, would be the chapter where Bomb defeats Joaquin, and we have the Daniel and Rowan flashbacks, because that chapter was beyond amazing. I could give that one like a 20 out of 10. That was so good. But 292 is up there. It's pretty incredible. And we started off with Andrasi, actually, and she's just walking. She senses somebody around, and we get hinted at that it's the yellow-haired twin in the in one of the entrance pipe tunnel things. But from there we go to Alphine, and Alphine just pretty much tells us the story of Kaiser. And you guys know I have been waiting all arc for a Kaiser backstory, because we've been hinted at it again and again. And I've said before again and again that I think Kaiser's a super interesting character, and one of the most interesting to me in the series at this point. Like, she was one of the most interesting for this arc to me, but now that we've got her backstory, she's one of the most interesting in the series. That I just want to see more Kaiser. I want to know more about Kaiser. I want her to get a lot more screen time. I love the character now from this backstory. But we start off with the backstory finding out that the Name Hunt Station is actually ruled by the Lopobia family, and we get that 10th family reveal. Lopobia is the 10th family. And it's kind of interesting to me that SIU chose to tell us all of the other great families, and chose to tell us a little about the Lopobia family, but never really confirmed to us that they were the 10th family. I think it's interesting that we've known about them for so long, yet we haven't known they were one of the 10 great families. So, I don't know. I thought that was interesting, and I thought it was a little bit unpredictable. I mean, there were probably a couple people here and there who thought maybe, but most of the things I've been seeing we're not thinking the Lopobia, we're going to be the 10th family. They thought they were going to be some cast out and cursed family, or Grace Merche Luzlek's family, like I guessed, or maybe Bomb's family, or somehow affiliated with FUG or something. Like, everybody was guessing a lot of stuff like that, but I didn't see where anybody was guessing Lopobia, which I think makes it even better because it had that bit of an air of unpredictability to it. And next up, we get the reveal of which of the 10 families Kaiser is from that people have been guessing, and it is the 10th family, like a ton of friggin' people guessed, because she is from the Lopobia family, and she is apparently a genius from one of the branch families that was such a genius that she was actually selected to become a Princess of Zahard only at the age of 14. And then we get, to me, incredible hype built for the head of the Lopobia family. Like, the panel with him, and when Alphine talks about him, he looks so badass. Like, I'm incredibly hyped for this character. Like, I think before him, maybe Arie Hone was the 10 family head that I was the most hyped about, but this guy's just so badass. The strongest anima in the tower. He looks so cool. I love the design with the little horn ear looking things on his head and the long green hair and stuff and the like kimono sort of outfit. He just looked really cool to me. And that his power is that he is the strongest anima in the tower, and it said he can control any like mystical creature, animal, or even human in the tower. Just, I thought it was so badass the way they built him up. And they also said, interesting to note, that most of his children are born with special abilities. So that's something that goes for most of the 10th family, I think, or the 10 families, I think. But it's kind of interesting that they specifically said that his children are born with special abilities. And that further goes into when Alphine says that the Lopobia family is actually split into 20 branches named after and headed by 20 beasts, and that Kaiser is actually from the Grey Wolf family, and that the Grey Wolf family has apparently no special ability inherent because all of the other 20 branch families of the Lopobia family, apparently each family has their own special ability that they're born with, but either the Grey Wolf has their own special ability that they're born with like the rest, but what she meant by it was, but they're not really that special of a family anyway. Or they could be saying it, and it's like they don't have it. Because the way she said it was worded, like they're not very, like, I don't know, but they said there was nothing distinguishing or different about the Grey Wolf family compared to the other branches. So I don't know if that means that they don't have the special ability like everybody else has, or that they have it and they're just not a very special family. And also it would, of course, be giving us the answer to sort of a hint that we were given quite a few chapters back even, when Bomb first met Kaiser and she attacked at him and he saw like the aura of the Grey Wolf. So I think it's really cool that that's how it's connected and comes into play. And again, Kaiser hype. And we find out for Alphine's backstory that she was actually a servant from the main family sent to serve Kaiser. And that, again, some people I saw questioning in the comments of the chapter were like, so does that mean that Alphine is actually from the Lopobia main family? I don't think so. I think that, again, she's just a servant. I think that she's probably just from a normal family that was serving the Lopobias, because to me, it wouldn't make sense for them to send a main family person, even if they were a genius being selected to be a princess. I don't know if they would send a main family person to be a servant of a side family person, even in those circumstances. But then again, they might, because they might want a main family person close to somebody who's going to become a princess and in their rear at all times. So it is possible that Alphine is from the Lopobia's main branch, but I don't think so. I think she's just a normal servant. But the way she described like Kid Kaiser as a like small dignified wolf was like really cool, and I loved seeing all the different artwork and stuff for this flashback, and how Kaiser looked as a little kid was really cool. So all of that was awesome. And we find out where it all went wrong was that one day the main family summoned her to this competition where children from all the 20 branches were competing, and she fell in love with the strongest boy there. And of course, falling in love for a Zahard princess is a definite no-no, so that got her into a bit of heat. But Alphine said she could have stopped it, but seeing young Kaiser in love for the first time, she couldn't stop her, and they made dumb decisions, her and Kaiser. And their decisions turned out to be a mistake because it turns out that the boy and the love was all fake. It was all a setup to test Kaiser, and Kaiser failed the test. So because of this, the Grey Wolf family was punished by having a huge fee placed on them, and Kaiser was punished by being sent to the name hunt station as a regular to turn it, because apparently the 10 families had been planning for a long time to turn the name hunt station from this lawless rogue area into this pyramid slavery system to do slave trade for the tower and for the 10 families, and to be the disposal place for the 10 families for regulars that they don't want or are dangerous. And so they picked Kaiser as their tool, their weapon, the one capable of doing it. And so she went in there, turned the lawless place into the pyramid system that we have today of the name hunt station, and became its Kaiser. So incredible story of how the name hunt station even became what it is today because of Kaiser, like turning it from the lawless area. So again, that was extra stuff that was really incredible, knowing that the Kaiser and 10 boss system wasn't even in place before Kaiser came along and did what she did. So it adds even more to the backstory for me. So Alphine says that she then became a regular, and she traveled to the name hunt station because of the stories of Kaiser and wanted to find her here. She also mentions, side note, that she hasn't seen what's under Kaiser's mask, so I'm wondering if she has some sort of facial scar, or something happened to her while she was trying to take over the place or something, or maybe just to hide her own emotion or something, because like Alphine said, she's been left like cold and bitter from her first love ever being a lie and a betrayal. So her story is just so badass. It is like the best backstory since the Nox backstory, and possibly even better and more detailed than a Nox backstory. This is just completely amazing. But once Alphine found her, she decided to serve her once again. And she also found out that of all the tons and tons of money from the slave auction and stuff that Kaiser brings in, she was like, how's this debt still not repaid? Well, apparently the Grey Wolf family has been spending all the money that Kaiser makes in order to keep Kaiser here, because to them, Kaiser's the one who disgraced them and messed up anyway. So they're keeping her there, making them more money, and they're just spending the money to keep Kaiser always in debt. And Kaiser knows about it too, but she just keeps working there because she wants forgiveness from her family, and she's trying to earn forgiveness. And then we get Alphine saying and summoning this cool looking Shadow Fox thing, and she's like, the Shadow Fox will take you to hell, or I can take you to Kaiser if you know a way to free her from these binds. So really badass. And we end with Liliel coming out and confronting and clashing with Andrasi, which was so badass. And like just seeing them go back and forth in conversation and in a couple of hits was really cool. Built some Liliel hype. We find out Liliel's the yellow-haired one, of course, which means Shiliel is the red-haired one, and Shiliel, let me tell you, click. But, yeah, I get way off topic with stuff. But Andrasi does mention something with Liliel supposed to be on the 45th floor, and we're still a bit of a way from the 45th floor, so Liliel is pretty strong. They're pretty far ahead of us. And even in the blog, I was planning to, blog? I don't know, my accent came out there, I think. But, even in the blog, I feel as though, or I was planning to say it at the end of this after I give my score and everything, but SIU says something about like Liliel and Shiliel are currently ahead of us as far as it goes in power. They're still like another level up, and that they're going to be important in one of the two next coming big arcs. So I think it's interesting too that he says they're like a power level above us. They're still a level ahead of us because we're not quite there yet, and they'll be important in a couple arcs when we are there. So again, all these people, I've had people ever since the Andrasi hate train started this arc, like always complaining about, and again, this is not saying anything bad. You can like Andrasi, and I still like Andrasi. I just don't think, I think she's being a little annoying, but I like the character. But what I mean is there's some people that are like, she's the strongest character ever, and anytime you mention any character potentially being stronger than her, they like flip out because they're Andrasi fanboys or whatever. But like, I don't know, I feel like this is just more confirmation. Lilial and Chilial are stronger than Andrasi. Kaiser defeated Andrasi. It is not just cheap tricks. Of course she had something up her sleeve that Andrasi couldn't predict, but that is any fight ever. Like, Andrasi was defeated by Kaiser. She is weaker than Kaiser. Sachi is, like, said to be up there with Lilial, Chilial, and Kaiser. She is weaker than Sachi. Like, Andrasi is strong, one of the stronger characters that we know, but she is not the strongest. We have been introduced to plenty that are up there stronger. I think Andrasi is probably close to bomb level, but not quite. And same with Kaiser, Lilial, and Chilial, and Sachi. I think she's probably close to their level, but a little bit weaker. Like, if she went all out and had a really good strategy, she could beat them for sure, but in a normal fight, they win. Like with Bomb versus Joaquin, where in a normal fight, Joaquin wins, but in the Dollar Show, Bomb sort of, he had the Aspel power-up. But other than that, he had the power of friendship and all that. But he was able to beat Joaquin, even though he's typically weaker. Well, typically isn't really the good word to use there. But he was able to beat Joaquin, even though he's technically a little bit weaker, because of just the power-up and strategy and the nature of the game. So things like that. Like, because you're weaker doesn't mean you can't beat them, because Mom did it to Joaquin, even though SIU has said Joaquin in a normal fight would definitely beat Bomb. He is definitely stronger. Bomb just had favorable circumstances. And yeah, that got way off topic. But when they clash and stuff, we do find out that Lilial says she doesn't want the glory of a Slayer candidate getting taken out to go to Andrasi. She wants that glory for herself, so she wants to be the one to take out Bomb, take out Juviel Grace. So I think that's going to definitely cause some conflict between them, because Andrasi does still... I don't want to say she loves Bomb, but she is at least his friend and his ally, and she definitely cares about Bomb. So if anybody's going to take down Bomb, it's going to be her. It's not going to be Lilial. And that's where we end this chapter, actually. And I thought the Lilial and Andrasi stuff was really cool and awesome. I really liked it. But when it comes to the Kaiser flashback or backstory, that is the best written backstory, except for maybe Anox. Like, it was so well done, and it was all stuffed into this one chapter. We got the hype reveal for the 10th Great Warrior and the 10th Great Family, which people have been making predictions about for a long time. So this was really a big and important chapter. And also the art for the backstory for me was incredible. Like, I loved the panels that SIU used, what he drew and everything. They looked beautiful. I love the one panel where Alphine is talking about Kaiser as a dignified small wolf, or the one where we see Kaiser as a little kid for the first time. We just see her from the back when they're talking about how she was chosen to be a princess at 14. I really like the one of the head of the Lopobia family, like, looking badass as hell with all the animals looking up at him and stuff, and just the nature-y vibe of it. It was really awesome. So there was a lot of great artwork in there. And, like, most of it was, like, stylistic. It wasn't, like, literal artwork. It was, like, a literal flashback. It was more stylistic, but I loved that. It looked beautiful. And yeah, story-wise, I said it was incredible, completely incredible. Two things that it makes me wonder about. I don't quite know if they're true. I don't quite think that one of them is true. But the first, is Andrasi from the Lopobia family? We know she's from a branch of one of the 10 great families, or at least she was adopted into the branch of one of the 10 great families. To me, it doesn't make sense that the Lopobia family would be bringing people into their branches if they already have branches, each with their own special ability. So to me, I do not think, and Andrasi's like 600 years old, I think. I don't think that's after Kaiser left, so she could have been adopted even into the Grey Wolf family, since they were like poor and looking for power and influence after Kaiser disgraced them, but I doubt it, since they have Kaiser bringing in money from the Name Hunt station. So I don't think she was brought into the Lopobia family as a branch person, but I also think that it could be a possibility. Because I don't know what other family Andrasi would be from. So, I don't know. Tell me what you guys think about that. I don't think she's from the Lopobia family, but I also acknowledge that it could be a real possibility. And the second thing is, do you think Ren is the boy that 1,000 years ago Kaiser fell in love with? Again, I don't think so, because I think Ren is maybe too young. I don't know. If Andrasi is 600, Kaiser is around 1,000 or so, 1,014. No, that I don't know. Aging is weird, but yeah. If Kaiser is at least 1,000 and Andrasi is 600, or maybe she's only 300. I don't remember. But if their ages are around that, I feel like Ren, I'm not sure what his age would be. Maybe he is around Kaiser's age and it fits, because the reason it made me think about that, Ren killed Anak, and Anak's crime was loving a man even though she was a princess, and also he's in the Royal Enforcement Division, and out of all of the hundreds, possibly, well, actually I think thousands and thousands actually, out of the thousands and thousands of rankers that work for the Zahard Empire, there's only like 60-some that are in the Royal Enforcement Division. So how did Lopobia Ren become the youngest person in the Royal Enforcement Division? Maybe they appointed him there because he was the one who tricked Kaiser. Maybe like that was the thing he did for Zahard as a kid that got him into the Royal Enforcement Division. So I think it's interesting to note that maybe that was Ren. But either way, enough talking about things that could be possibilities. I think this one was beyond perfect. I don't think you can get much better written than this. The stuff I said with Andrasi and Lilial was really great, and the Kaiser backstory was just amazingly written, all put into one chapter. So it's a definite perfect score, 10 out of 10. 10 dignified wolves out of 10. 10 gray wolves out of 10. That Kaiser hype, though. Oh my gosh. And yeah, so I guess that's all I got. So, like if you did like this super duper long double review, there was a ton of content, so I knew it was going to be super long. Like, either one of these chapters had so much content that I was like, a normal review of this would be like 20 minutes. But, yeah, so I said like if you like it, so comment down there and definitely tell me what you thought of some of the stuff I brought up, because there's a friggin' ton to discuss after all we learned. We learned so much that so many people have been looking to learn for a long time. And yeah, just tell me what you thought of my thoughts on these and what you thought of these chapters, because they were just genius to me. They were two of the best, and to marathon two of the best one after the other was incredible. I keep getting caught up today for some reason, just in my head. Subscribe for more Tower of God, Walking Dead, and a ton more. And if you do happen to be looking for my Fear the Walking Dead review, haven't had time to watch it yet, but once I watch it, it'll be up. And that's about it. Like if you subscribe, guys, I'm dying. Follow on Twitter if you want, and I'll try to keep you updated there on stuff for the channel, like posting stuff or pushing stuff back. And that's all I got. So thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.